You're watching
You're watching
West Hartford
Community Television.
Community television.
For the community.
For the community.
By the community.
By the community.
And it's a wrap.
When I grow up, I'll be your doctor.
I will be a firefighter, or maybe the fire chief.
I'll be a Supreme Court justice.
I'm attorney Jeffrey Dressler. I advocate education. It lasts a lifetime.
And I'm Mayor Pedro Segarra. Be a part of your children's education. Together, we can help our children fulfill their dreams.
Hello and welcome to Shalom, Hartford. Today I'm speaking with a multifaceted individual. He's a former radio station owner, a third-degree black belt in martial arts. He's been a licensed ring announcer, an actor, a motivational speaker, and he's the founder and creator of Mega Education. And as he would say, wow, what a concept. We're talking about attorney Jeffrey Dressler. How does all that happen? I'm Pat Kazakov. You're watching Shalom Hartford. Stay with me and we're going to meet Jeffrey Dressler. He's a man with a mission. I understand that you're brought up in Hartford.
North End.
Tell me about life in the North End.
I had a great childhood. I really did. I always lived on small streets with a zillion kids. And it was a time when everyone looked out for one another. Your neighbors looked out for you. We were outside all the time. We didn't have all the gadgets. In the morning, the doors would open, out we go, and we'd come back at night and we'd eat and we'd go back and play hide and seek or whatever. But it was a great time.
Would you say, I know that you're very involved in the Latino community. Would you say that there was anything in your formative years that would have predicted this particular mission?
The Latinos, no, it's people. People talk to each other. They communicated, back then we didn't have any prejudices. The North End was mixed. Where I lived, we had in the street I lived in, we had Poles. There were no Latinos at that time. The schools were pretty much integrated in North End.
Can I challenge you on one point?
Go ahead.
Well, you said that there were no prejudices, but in the 60s, I understand there was major unrest in the North End.
There was white flight from the North End to West Hartford, and I was part of it. About my bar mitzvah, we moved to West Hartford. I always identified with Hartford.
Why is that? Why didn't you identify?
Because that was my mentality. We didn't have much. We didn't have anything. I grew up in a six-family apartment building, and then a three-family flat, and we moved to West Hartford, and there was a different mentality.
And you felt it?
Oh, I felt it. Of course I did. I felt that there was a veneer, there was pretensions, and I never bought into it. So I did a stint of 5 years.
A stint of...
I live in West Hartford now,
Mm-hmm.
and I was from 16 years old on. I was going on the weekends and all vacations. I worked in the Borscht Belt in Connecticut, and then in college I worked in the Borscht Belt in New York, and after college I left the country.
How about college? You went to University of Connecticut?
I graduated from the University of Connecticut. I started out in Bridgeport, and then I transferred
to University of Connecticut. And how a lot of young men have tumultuous years in high school and their first 4 years of university. Were you one of those people?
I'd like to have a good time. I did. My eyes were always on the horizon. I spent most of my time in New York and Boston, and that's probably why I left. I was supposed to leave the country for 1 year. It turned into 7.
So what about when you were in university? Did you have any leadership positions?
I had a motorcycle and a real cool car and a two-piece pool stick.
That's it?
That's
the leadership?
That was the leadership.
Exactly. And then after university, after UConn, you said that you left.
I did.
Where'd you go?
Well, I went to Spain. While I was at UConn, I played baseball in Puerto Rican leagues, because I was the only American playing in a Puerto Rican league.
And why did you play? Certainly it must have had American leagues with nice Jewish boys.
These were the hippy-dippy days. And at UConn, they still had crew cuts, and I was kind of, I was moving with the flow. So I had a full head of hair, and I thought, well, I'll play baseball con los Boricuas, with the Puerto Ricans. They played great ball, and they had a league where they would travel from city to city, Bridgeport, New Haven, Hartford, Waterbury, Willimantic.
You felt comfortable in that milieu.
I felt at home.
But you don't know why you felt so comfortable in that milieu?
It was a warm, welcoming community that had no veneer, that had no pretensions, and they just welcomed me.
What about the nice Jewish boys? What about that group of people? How did you feel about that?
Why can't you? Well, I consider myself a Hebrecan.
A Hebrican.
Hebrecan.
Hebrican.
A Jurican.
I understand.
A
I understand.
You know, one of the biggest salseros, musicians in salsa, and in the 70s, was a Jew. He made an album called The Marvelous Jew. It was Larry Harlow, La Fania. That's the name of the Fania All-Stars. So it's where I was.
It's just how you felt, and it seemed right.
And I love the Latin culture, so I decided I wanted to learn Spanish.
So you moved to Spain.
I sold my motorcycle. I sold the car.
And the pool stick.
I still have the pool stick.
Okay.
I stuck myself in the mountains of Spain, in Castillo, where they have all the castles, and they speak the pure Spanish. I learned Spanish. I met my wife on an island in the Mediterranean.
In Mallorca,
In Mallorca. Mm-hmm. The following year, she's Danish. We hitched from Denmark down to Morocco. We traveled all around Europe. And I knew that there were 3 law schools accredited by the ABA in Puerto Rico. And I wanted to study there because I wanted to study law in Spanish.
Now, why did you want to be a lawyer? Why did that come into your head? Why didn't you do something else?
Probably because my parents told me I was going to be a lawyer since I was little.
Uh-huh.
I played Little League in the north end of Hartford. You know what team I played for? The Lawyers.
The Lawyers. So that was in your... you only had one choice.
I just knew I was going to be a lawyer. And after playing ball and being with in the Puerto Rican community, my wife told me when I met her that I was going to learn Spanish and move back and work with the Puerto Rican community. And that's what I did. So
you went to school, well, you graduated, you got a diploma in Salamanca, the University of Salamanca.
Their oldest university.
In Spain.
Spain.
And then you went to Puerto Rico, and there you went to the
I had to take the LSATs in Spanish. So
in Spanish? Did you speak enough Spanish to be able to do?
I did better. I hadn't spoken English for 3 years. I avoided Americans and anyone, or Canadians, anyone who spoke English. And
what about your wife? Did she speak Spanish too?
Well, I didn't live with her in Spain. When I moved to Puerto Rico, she followed about a year later, and I spoke English with her for the first minute. And after that, I never spoke English with her, and she learned Spanish. She speaks as well as I do. I did well. I got into the Inter-American University, and I studied law in Spanish, which for me was the hook. I loved it.
Completely in Spanish?
Completely in Spanish.
And you graduated?
And I took the bar in Spanish.
So I'm going to ask the same question I asked before. Did you show any leadership promise while you were going to law school?
You're going to make me brag about myself?
Well, I want to hear. I mean, I want to know what makes you who you are today.
I think we're born with a seed. I think as we walk, God opens the path under our feet, and that's where I felt I've been guided. In law school, I was the editor of the Law Review. I volunteered, I worked with legal services for the migrant division for the Puerto Ricans that were coming up to Connecticut and Massachusetts and working in tobacco and agriculture. And I clerked in the federal prosecutor's office. And I worked on some pretty notorious cases. Cool stuff. I enjoyed it, really did.
And so you were a good student?
You know, when I got to law school, that's all I did. I had a bad car accident down there, and I had constructive surgery. I put a hole in my head, and I lost my nose. I had to wear extensions on my glasses to reach my cheeks, and I felt it was a wake-up call. I was a bad boy. I was a passenger. Thank you, Lord, I'm alive. And I felt, okay, that's it, last call. I put my nose to the grindstone, and that's all I did was study down there. I loved it. I couldn't get enough. The Spanish was the hook. I wanted to perfect the Spanish.
Well, you said that God opened the path for you. Were you spiritual as a young person?
I wasn't brought up in a religious home. And I'll tell you, in the mountains of Spain, I had a moment. It was like an epiphany. I was touched by the hand of God. I was overwhelmed by beauty. And I fell to my knees and I cried. And I thank God. And from there, I started to get into Judaism. It's an evolutionary. Forgive me, I didn't think I'd get emotional even thinking about that moment. It's an evolutionary.
Do you have a clear moment in your mind?
Yeah, I know.
That when you're talking to me?
Yes.
What did you see?
Beauty. Beauty that was overwhelming.
And what did the beauty look like?
I was in the mountains of Spain. There are not many trees in that part of Spain, but it was majestic. It was divine, and I just felt an overpowering feeling come over me.
And you could feel sort of the presence of something bigger than you.
I did, and I was living a storybook life. This is something that you see in the movies. I want to write a script on it. I haven't done it yet.
Well, we've got time.
I haven't gotten to it yet.
And so from Spain, you moved to Puerto Rico.
Moved to Puerto Rico.
With this feeling in the back of your head.
Well, when you have a feeling like that, it's not the overwhelming feeling that you carry with you. You know, it would be difficult to reach that.
It'd be difficult to live every day.
It would. I started going to shul in Puerto Rico. And my wife converted, so I had to learn. And it was important to me to have a Jewish home. And I remember telling that in Spain or Denmark. If we get serious, I have to marry a Jew. So she went to shul for a year. I said, you got to take a look. You can't do it for me. You can't be a whitewash. You're going to have to understand it and feel it. So she went to shul for a year to take a look, and it made sense. And we have a kosher home. I observe Shabbos. I look forward to it. It's my milestone for the week.
Do you lay tefillin?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Every morning?
Every morning, except for Shabbos. And I have to thank Rabbi Gopin for that.
And why do you do that?
It's like a meditation for me. It grounds me. It gives me strength. When we wrap the tefillin around our arm, I'm getting strength in my body to do mitzvot. When I place it between my eyes, I feel that I'm asking God to give me vision. Some people look. I want to see. So it gives me strength.
How long have you been doing this?
Many years. How long has Rabbi Gopin been in Hartford? I think since he came in 78.
Right.
I got here and I came back at the very end of 78. It's a force. You know what I do? To reward myself every day. At night, make a big bowl of cereal, and I read a parsha. I read the parsha. We read the same parsha every single year as we read. But it speaks to us and says something different because we're always in a different place. So I brought different chumash to get different commentaries. And when I speak in public, most of what I'm saying, I'm taking from the commentaries or from what I've taken from the parsha.
Let's go back a little bit when you had the major accident that was in your first semester at law school, and you said this is a wake-up call. As a wake-up call, did that sort of change your entire behavior besides?
Yes, absolutely.
How else did it change
Absolutely.
besides, you said you were nose to the grindstone with the books? Did other things change?
I was very disciplined, OCD if you want, if you will, but very, very disciplined. I'm very goal-oriented. So I put everything I had into law school. If I clerked in the federal prosecutor's office, I learned as much as I could. I worked with the DEA, the FBI. Everything was a learning experience.
Did you love it?
I did.
You loved it?
I did. I love law. I'm a blessed man. My life is full, and I live it with purpose. And I love helping people. So I love the law, and I love the creativity.
So how did you change? You are a personal injury lawyer. That is a rough section of law. It's rough. And then on the other side, on the other hand, you're doing incredible work with the Latino community. How did that start? How did that work start?
Well, as I'm involved in the community, I see needs, and it's our obligation to fill those needs. We're supposed to feed the hungry and house the homeless, and help. So I don't do it. I do it out of joy. It's an daily interaction that we do. You know, right now we're expecting 22,000 Puerto Ricans to come to Hartford, and I know West Hartford is already have an influx.
Is that as a result of Hurricane Maria?
Oh yes, directly.
That's directly.
My son is studying law in Puerto Rico now.
Same as you.
At the same place. Yes, his choice. His choice. He's going to make his own footsteps. But he's graduating.
So why did you choose the Puerto Rican community? Why didn't you choose the Jewish community? Certainly there are needs in the Jewish community.
Probably were the better ball players than the Puerto Ricans at that time. I played a lot of baseball, and I wanted to play baseball, so I started playing with the Puerto Rican community. I mean, I had Jewish friends, but it was exciting, and that's why at that time in my life, and graduating college, I wanted to travel. I wanted to learn a language.
Well, I understand also that you're in Hartford. You're a Hartford boy, and you started boxing gyms.
Well, I trained in martial arts, and I started training with some kickboxers, and they took me downtown to this gym, and it was an abandoned warehouse, and they had just cleaned out a small area, and on the other side of a barrier, there were dead rats and refrigerators and trees.
It's pleasant.
And refrigerator, yeah.
Very pleasant.
And we had to go outside to go to the bathroom because there's no bathrooms. So I continued to train. Little by little, I funded the rehab of that gym. And the kids did the work.
How old were you when you started doing that?
Oh, I was about 32, 33.
Early 30s.
Early 30s.
So you rehabbed this gym.
We did. And we gave Hartford kids a place to go. And they're the ones that hauled the wheelbarrows and did the work. And they wrote on the wall, "This is our gym, we are family." We have kids come from some pretty tough backgrounds. But out of these gyms, because of the mentoring, it's getting the kids in and now mentoring them. We just built a new gym where we have an education center. We have the Trinity boxing team, and we have Trinity students that tutor the kids.
Is that the COBA gym?
COBA, Charter Oak Boxing Academy. So out of some of the gyms, we have one kid that went to law school. We have a number of armed forces, police officers, firefighters. We've saved a lot of lives.
What about women? What are you doing for women?
Oh, there are girls there also.
Doing
we have a Yukon female boxing team there, and we have girls there. We have kids that come that don't get in the ring. They come from the training. They come from the camaraderie. They come to be in a safe environment. It helps tremendously. And then we have the mentoring where we have professionals that are there, and then we have the Trinity students. So we make sure the kids are going to school and doing well.
Is that a volunteer situation, or was that you did it with the institution, with Trinity?
Well, we have a good board of director, and everyone comes to the table with their own skills. So Johnny Callis, the director, is the ombudsman with DCF. He has a master's. We have some really great people on the board, and we bring in other people. And when they find out about it, we have people that contact us want to help. So if anyone wants to help, contact me.
What about the Jewish part of it? What's guiding? Are the Jewish principles guiding you in this kind of work? Because it's unusual work for a Jewish boy.
You know, I'm on the JCRC, the Greater Hartford Jewish Federation, the Community Relations Council, and the Jewish community has really stepped up, and I'm proud. I'm so proud of this community. Proud to be a Jew. They've come and they're helping with the influx to meet the needs of the 22,000 Puerto Ricans that are coming to Hartford. And they've done clothing drives and toiletry drives, and we're going to be dealing with housing, with jobs, medicine, and they've come in full force, and it's really great. George Weiss helped us with a tremendous check to establish the computer center. So we named it the George Weiss Education Center. And so we have a lot of Jews that are building bridges to other communities. And by doing so, we sustain each other. We reinforce each other, and we need each other.
At the beginning of the conversation, you said you didn't like living in West Hartford because you felt there was a veneer. And you said there were like
There was a competition as to who had more.
So have you changed your mind now?
No. There are people that I figure that you have all different types. You know, it's funny. My brother graduated Weaver, and there's really a camaraderie from the old Weaver, which is now the MLK, because that's the ambiance. This is the camaraderie, the friendship in the north end of Hartford. West Hartford's different. You have different houses. You know, there's more of a density. There's apartment buildings, 3-family houses, and it's a different mentality when you come up to West Hartford. And it was just a competition as to who had more.
So you still have that in your mind, that
I'm not about that. I'm not about that. I'm still heavily vested in the Latino community. I sponsor baseball leagues, boxing gyms. My clientele are largely Latino and African American. We sponsor all of the North End schools. And if I can get an 8-year-old that'll run up to me and give me a hug, it's a nice feeling.
What's the mega education about?
It's a scholastic incentive program. We recognize kids for their efforts, and it's a program to bring the parents in because education starts at the home. And it started 28 years ago when I got a call from one of the middle school principals to fund a breakfast program. They had a group of problematic kids, and they had a good idea to start a breakfast program where the teachers and the kids would make breakfast together and then eat together. So I funded it, and at the end of the year they had great improvement, good grades, great attendance.
You could clearly see the results of your program.
I took that to McDonald's. They'll say, fine, we'll sponsor 8 schools. So from there on, the program grew. And now we have partnerships with the Bushnell. I want to expose kids to the arts. And what we do is these are incentives that we give either for the parents. We partnered with a car dealer, gave a car every year. We'd give scholarships, trips for the parents who spent the most time in the school. We had a tracking system.
Well, you called it a scholastic incentive program.
I created it for 26 markets, as a matter of fact. I created it for a radio network that was going to be dropped into 26 different cities along the east coast of the United States.
Is that happening?
The network fell apart. I trademarked the name. I'm a Hartford boy. I stayed here. And we're in about 6 different towns and about 40 schools. And you met Sammy Vega. I represented his father before he was born. He's 35 now. And he was ranked #1 in the country, #4 in the world as a boxer. He's the president of from the gym, this is created, president of the largest Latino agency in Connecticut. He's the law office manager, manages 3 offices here and coordinates with Puerto Rico. He is on the NRZ. He's on the board of Catholic Family Charities.
He's a success story.
And he's the executive director of Mega Education. Yes, he's one of the success stories.
What about Rabbi Gopin? You mentioned him as you were talking, and he encouraged you to lay tefillin. Tell me about your relationship.
Well, he's, as he is with many people in West Hartford, he's my partner. He visits me. And we usually talk about one of the Parsha, and it's really funny because he'll talk the Parsha to Sammy. And look at Sammy tilting his head. It's not so much the content, but the accent.
Well, right. I can see that.
Sammy gets a lot of devout Torahs. He gets a lot of
You love
Torah
being
lessons.
Jewish?
I do.
You love being Jewish?
I do. And that's one of the blessings that we have every day, right? That we give thanks for being a Jew.
Do you think being Jewish encouraged you to do this kind of work? Is that what made you do this?
I think I gravitated toward people through this evolutionary process, and now I take it on as what I do as a Jew. And this is what we are to do as a Jew, tikkun olam. And we give thanks for guiding us, for providing for us, for the vision, and we have a covenant. We were born into it. We didn't sign up. We were signed up for it. And completing it is a joy. I get a joy out of it.
I've been talking to attorney Jeffrey Dressler. He clearly has the lens of a Jewish person, but he's doing work that's far, far reaching. He's doing it mostly with the Latino community, but he's inviting you to join him also.
There's the need, and we fulfill it. These are people who genuinely open up their hearts and welcome whoever you are. And Baruch Hashem, thank you for the purpose and life you've given me.
Thank you, attorney Jeffrey Dressler. Thank you very much.